good day. Today, we will discuss about the poem The Nymph's Reply to the Shepherd by Sir Walter Raleigh.
Theme: the fleeting nature of love and the contrast between youthful desires and the reality of time and change. Love is fleeting and doesn't last forever. Contrast idealized pastoral visions and more realistic view of life. Nature is constantly changing, reflecting the impermanence of human desires and beauty. The poem questions the promises and permanence of romantic ideals, encourage living in the moment and not being deluded by fleeting desires. Throughout this poem, the nymph describes how time, pleasure, and all possessions are fleeting. These joys won't last forever, nor will impetuous choices and sweet words. All these things are like spring to fall. They might be beautiful now, but when it comes time for the reason to change, they are going to fade like everything else.
The lesson of the nymph's reply to the shepherd is that love and beauty don't last forever, and it's not wise to think they do. The poem shows how the nymph rejects the shepherd's romantic ideas by pointing out that things change over time. At first, the nymph, or the female character in the poem, admits that she might be tempted by the shepherd's promises if everything in the world stayed young and people always told the truth. But she quickly points out that things change. Time moves on, just like flocks of sheep moving from one place to another, and the seasons change from warm to cold. This shows us that nothing stays the same forever. The author uses images like fading flowers and forgotten possessions to show us how temporary things are. He says that even though something might seem beautiful and exciting at first, it doesn't last long. The nymph also tells us that love can turn sour even if it starts out sweet. The nymph isn't interested in the shepherd's fancy gifts and pretty clothes because she knows that she won't make love last forever. She's saying that material things can't make up for the fact that love and beauty don't stick around forever. The nymph's reply to the shepherd teaches us an important lesson about love and beauty. Raleigh, the author, wants us to understand that they don't last forever. By showing the nymph rejecting the shepherd's gifts, he's telling us that we wouldn't focus too much on things that are temporary. Instead, we should look for deeper, more meaningful connections that can withstand the test of time.
The Nymph's Reply to the Shepherd is a poem written by Sir Walter Raleigh, a 16th century English poet and explorer, and it is considered a traditional or classical poem because it is a direct response to Christopher Marlowe's poem titled The Passionate Shepherd to His Love. So Ralegh's poem serves as a counter-argument or reply to Marlowe's idealized and romantic depiction of rural life and love, which makes it a traditional poem. The Nymph's Reply to the Shepherd is considered a ballad because it shares some characteristics with the traditional ballad form. Ballads are narrative poems that typically tell a story in a simple and direct manner. They often have a musical quality and are meant to be sung or recited. Ballads often have a regular rhythm rhyme scheme, making them easy to remember and recite. The Nymph's Reply to the Shepherd follows this pattern with its use of iambic tetrameter and AABB rhyme scheme, contributing to its classification as ballad. Additionally, the poem tells a story and explores themes of love, time, and transient nature of earthly pleasures, which align with the narrative elements commonly found in ballads.
Good day everyone. Today we are going to tackle about the structures of the poem. Number one is stanzaic structure. So the poem consists of 6 stanzas and each stanza is composed of 4 lines. The number of lines in the poem is 24. So overall, the poem consists of 6 stanzas and composed 24 lines. The other structures of the poem will be discussed by the next reporter.
The poem's metrical pattern is iambic tetrameter. Each line is made up of 4 sets of 2 beats. This is the first stanza showing the metrical pattern of each line that is divided into 4 iambs. If all the world and love were young, and truth in every shepherd's tongue, these pretty pleasures might be moved to live with thee and be thy love. With each iamb consisting of 1 unstressed followed by 1 stressed syllable. This meter gives the poem a steady and rhythmic flow. The poem lines follow a rhyme scheme of AA, BB, CC, DD, and so on, changing end sound from stanza to stanza.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Ravel Ila. I am going to report the part of the mood and tone of the poem. The tone of the nymph applied to the shepherd is one of playfulness, wit, and charm. The speaker, a nymph, engages in a light-hearted conversation with the shepherd, teasing him and flirting with him in a subtle and coy manner. The mood of the poem is also light and romantic, with a sense of natural beauty and tranquility that pervades the language and imagery. The name's words are full of allusions to classical mythology and nature, creating a dreamlike and enchanted atmosphere that draws the reader into the speaker's world. Overall, the poem has a delightful and captivating quality that invites the reader to join in the conversation and share in the speaker's whimsical and enchanting world. That is the tone and the mood of the poem.
My name is Jovelyn P. Lau, and I will be reporting the figure of speech on the poem The Nymphs Ready to the Shepherd by Sir Walter Raleigh. So first is a metaphor. A metaphor is a comparison between two unlike things that do not use like or as is also present in the text. When using this technique, a poet is saying that one thing is another thing. They aren't just similar. There is a good example at the end of the stanza 3 with a phrase, a honey tongue, a heart of gold, is fancy spring, but sorrowful. Here, the speaker is comparing sweet, yet in the end, meaningless words and impetuous choices to spring and fall. Second is alliteration. Alliteration occurs when words are used in succession or at least appear close together and begin with the same sound. For example, in the poems rivers, rays, and rocks. In the line 3 of the second stanza and complaints of cares to come in the same stanza. Third is a caesura. A caesura occurs when a line is split in half, sometimes with punctuation, sometimes not. The use of punctuation in these moments creates a very intentional pause in the text. A reader should consider how the pause influences the rhythm of one's reading and how it might precede an important turn or transition in the text. Good example can be found at the end of the first stanza with the line, to live with thee and be thy love.
My name is Susan Marino, and in continuation with the discussion, allusion is also used in the poem entitled The Nymph's Reply to the Shepherd, wherein the writer makes an allusion to the mythological character Philomel in the following lines. But could youth last, and love still breathe? Had joys no date, no age, no need? Then these delights my mind might move. To live with thee and be thy love. This allude to the idea that if youth and love were everlasting, if joys had no end and age had no impact, then the speaker might be persuaded to live with the shepherd and be his love. However, the allusion to Philomel serves as a reminder that such promise to eternal happiness and love may be deceptive. just as they were for Philomel in Greek mythology. Next is the methonymy. The next two lines references honey tongue, an example of methonymy, meaning spoken sweet words. The heart represents bitterness or impetuousness. The speaker suggesting that the bold and tough choices, at least thoughtless in regards to the future, as well as honey tongue are related to spring and fall, are ultimately going to end in nothing just like spring. It is a time of a prosperous growth that ends in fall when everything dies.
The poem was written as a response to Christopher Marlowe's poem, The Passionate Shepherd Twist Love, which present an idealized, romanticized view of rural life and love. Sir Walter's poems serve as a critique of the unrealistic nature of the shepherd promises, highlighting the harsh realities of life and the impermanence of earthly pleasure. The poem reflects the broader literary and cultural context of the Renaissance period, with its emphasizes on skepticism and fleeting nature of human existence.